Well, bless my bark. Welcome to the Bless My Bark podcast. I am Andrew, and this is my guest, Blake, good friend of mine. Obviously, Bless My Bark podcast, where we talk about movies, entertainment, the culture from a Christian perspective. And today we are talking about Obsession, the movie Obsession. We talk about the culture from a Christian perspective, and we're watching horror movies. The first two episodes of the podcast, first one was Backrooms, and now Obsession, which is kind of weird because I don't like horror stuff, and yet I watched Widow's Bay, the Apple TV show, which is also a horror movie. Well, not movie, show, obviously. And I don't know, I've just been kind of watching those lately. They haven't been they're light horror, okay, to clarify. I feel like there's levels of horror that are like really, really bad. And I don't want to watch those at all. But to start, I'm kind of rambling here. To start, let's talk about Obsession, what it's about. If you don't know, basically this guy really likes this girl. She, however, is not interested in him. And so he's kind of depressed about it. He wants to ask her out, but he doesn't have the confidence or the courage to do so. And so he makes this wishes that she loved him more than anything else in the world. It actually comes to pass, and the wish does. But things go horribly wrong because she, just like the title says, is obsessed with him. And so does the character cope with the obsession? How does he handle it? And how far does it go? That's kind of where all the horror comes in. And I gotta say, I thought it was entertaining enough. Like, I'm glad I saw it. It is not one I will be watching again.
Have to agree.
I feel like it was good, just from a well-made standpoint. Horror is not my genre, and I felt like it was disturbing in places, and I thought the right way was like kind of like halfway through the film it was just like kind of creepy, and I thought that was like kind of the right tone, and then it kind of just got gratuitous a little bit in there, and so then that wasn't really my speed. So thought it was good. I'm glad I watched it from a cultural standpoint, because what it means to the culture, which we'll dive into in a little bit. But Blake, tell me what your thoughts are.
I thought it was great. I think it accomplished everything it set out to do really well. I was disturbed for like 2 days. I don't know what it was about this movie, but I was like profoundly disturbed. I think, I don't really like horror.
What got you?
Oh my gosh, just the
Spoiler alert! It's a spoiler part. There will be spoilers, by the way, so be careful about that.
For real, yeah. This would be the most enjoyable podcast if you've already seen the film. I feel like, but it was great. I give it 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. What really disturbed me, I think. Oh man, I don't know if I want to go into too much detail about this, but I don't know. I was just thinking about starting to date again, and I was like, gosh, I really don't want to. I don't want to end up with someone horrible.
Isn't that it, man? Isn't that it?
Yeah.
And you're not the only person who that said something like that. There's tons of people who are like, yeah, that's I've lived that. Like, and they're like, this is like dating in our culture now is a horror. It's a horror movie. There's a lot of women apparently saying like they see themselves as Nikki and vice versa. So it's the culture is not in a healthy place when it comes to dating and relationships. Do you have any more? I don't know if you want to go ahead and jump into this, or you want to finish your review real quick. What your thoughts on the overall film?
I think that's where most of the conversation will definitely be, is there. But I think my only criticisms of the movie are that I think it was tonally the same too much throughout. I think it should have, like, you should have had more breaths of air where it was like peaceful in some parts. It just felt like it was creepy the whole time.
Mm.
And I just wish there was a little bit of a break from that one tone
Yeah, it's like
throughout the movie.
you're never let off the hook to catch your breath, as you kind of mentioned there. Yeah, I can see
Right.
that.
Mhm. Yeah, so that would probably be my biggest criticism. But other than
Performances, I
that,
thought the performances were really good from all the cast. Really, I don't think there was one role where I was like, I don't know about that one.
I definitely agree. I think Indy Navarrete is it Indy Navarrete? Do you know, is that how you say your name, or is it Navarrete?
I have no idea. I'm going to refer to her as Nikki.
Yes, Nikki, the actress who played Nikki, has pretty much become like a superstar overnight because of this movie, and actually pretty deservedly so. She was great. She's already met with like the director for the next X-Men movie, like, and this is her only acting role so far. So that's how hard she killed it. She did a great job. I have to agree.
I thought Bear did a really good job too. The guy who played Bear, that opening scene where it was, I felt that so real. It's such a guy thing where it's like you're like spitballing ideas about like how to ask her, how to approach it, how to ask her out. Which
Yeah,
at that point, it's like, look, she's either interested or not, and you could mess it up 7 ways to Sunday, and if she was interested, she'd still go on a date with you.
that's a great point. Yeah, and if you're to this part, I mean, yeah, there's not much you could do to change her mind whether she's on one track or another.
I mean, you could have the greatest pickup line. If she's not interested, I mean, she may say yes initially, but then when she finally gets there, she's like, "Oh yeah, wait, it's you." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
No, what
so
would more likely happen is you text about it, and then on the day of she like cancels or something.
yeah,
That's
no,
what would
that yeah,
happen.
that's exactly what happens. Yeah, um, yeah. So a lot of people mention in this about this film. I think it resonates with a lot of people because it does say that dating is like a horror show now. A lot of people are struggling. Um, a lot of people know that there's a sickness going on, and probably to put it generally, is online dating apps have become this like dystopian place. Women get a lot of attention on the apps, whereas a lot of the men don't, and both of those have uh, pretty crippling effects to both sexes when it comes to that. If you get too much attention, then you kind of get an overflated, you know, sense of self there. Whereas men who get rejected completely shut down and isolate themselves in life and just go chronically online and complain about stuff or um, just what they say. Re- Going reclusive and just hiding into video games. Um, so it's definitely an issue in our culture today. I was listening to Clavin's on the Culture, um, which is something that I really encourage you to listen to because what um, they talked about goodness snakes. They talked about obsession a lot, and they they kind of mentioned this thing about how women are scared to be obsessed with men because they're scared of putting themselves out there, right? And so they're saying like, oh, we're like this Nikki character where we put ourselves out there and we kind of, we're obsessed with this guy and then we don't get any commitment or whatever, right? It's kind of
Mm.
that kind of a thing. At least that's what I thought. Maybe I misinterpreted what they were saying, but um, a lot of issues in our dating culture today. Blake, you got any? You got anything you want to say? This is like such a difficult topic to talk about. Um,
Yeah,
because
yeah. This is
you're basically committing war crimes on either side when you talk about these things. So
it is tough. I think. Gosh, I really don't even know where to start. If I'm being real, I think.
let's start. Okay, I got one. Let's start with one that's pretty obvious and it has a direct correlation in the movie, and that's Bear's lack of confidence. So
Yeah.
in the film, he has like a issue asking Nikki out. Um, the way the Clavens put it is said that he was like it's like crippling to him. Like he it just doesn't have the ability to do it. He can't get himself to do it. And so, you know, where do we see that in our culture today? Is you hear a lot about how women want to be approached, and men aren't approaching in real life anymore. I've seen several videos of this online where women are complaining about men not approaching, and all the men in the comments are like, "No, it's because you want a specific guy to approach you." And men in the comments are like, "No, do not follow this advice. They're going to reject you." Um, but there seems to be some sort of lack of confidence in the culture when it comes to men. Uh, what do you think about that, Blake?
Oh, there's no question that that's true. There is no question about that being true. If somebody would argue that, I would love to hear their thoughts on why, because I don't know. I really don't think I know a single person that would say that's not happening. It's been there's like a huge class action lawsuit against Facebook and against Meta right now over like the proven statistical like mental health damage that like just being online, being on social media below a certain age has done to teenagers that they willfully ignored. And it's just unfortunately a very relatable thing, because if you can obviously approach somebody and have success, and that's great, and that opens up a whole new Pandora's box of how you keep a relationship going. But a lot more often, for most guys, you're going to go and get rejected. That's just part of the process. And unfortunately, I would know. But
Likewise,
yeah, so
you're in good
the
company here.
yes, yeah, thank you very much. It's very, very tough to learn how to pick yourself back up in almost anything, right? Grit is something that they say that like people our age and younger lack the most. Grit is like stick to itiveness, right? Your ability to keep going even though you've experienced failure. And that is probably the most vulnerable place that you can experience that failure, is to have somebody that you want to spend time with look at you and say, nah, I'm good. And that is so challenging for anybody, regardless of gender, I think, to go through. And there's just not really. I don't know if a lot of people know how to deal with that in a healthy way without just resorting to distractions, without just resorting to,
Yeah, it's
you
good.
know, doom scrolling or watching TV, watching YouTube, doing this, doing that. We don't have a lot of like slow downtime anymore with where we are,
Man,
and
oh my gosh, there's so much
yeah,
to unpack there.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
let's see. I think one reason, and because you mentioned being rejected and stuff. One thing I think why men lack a lot of confidence is actually backed statistically. It's like 49% of younger people said that 49% of the problem was like why they don't ask someone out is because of confidence, lack of confidence. It was like 49%. Um, and I think one of the reasons why is because men are like the most rejected they've like ever been whether that be just, the patriarchy thing, toxic masculinity, the Me Too movement that happened. But then you've got online dating apps, right? And so statistically, 80%, or it's not 80%, it's women rated 80% of men below average. And so the majority of men online are being rejected. And, when you have that kind of rejection rate, it echoes throughout the whole male audience, because it's like, okay, back then maybe you had like a brother or a friend and you could see them be confident and have success and you could model that, or something, you could emulate that to some degree. One, the social circles are being eroded away due to social media and being online, right? So this is multifaceted in all kinds of directions here. And then number two is that all the people, all the bros that are probably also being rejected. And so it's like, you've got this never ending black pill doom, like, oh, it's why even bother? And
this perpetuating cycle.
Yeah, and so you can kind of get in your own head about it, and not be really objective and not be sober minded about it, and can be really doom and gloom. So I think that partly feeds into it. I think the hugest thing is the erosion of social circles. Like specifically long-term social circles. There's like a statistical thing. I may be quoting this wrong, but it was like 70% of long-term marriages, so like successful marriages, these people did not originally think that they were attracted to each other. So 70% of long-term marriages, they weren't interested in each other at first. And so, you've got these dating apps that are just like first impression, swipe, 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 right? And so then you're not getting a chance for those successful marriages to form.
Yeah.
To kind of get in the oven and bake, or to actually be able to build those relationships. Kind of went on this long tangent. I kind of want to bring it back to obsession a little bit.
Yeah. Well, before you do, I feel like one thing about that too is you're losing the opportunity to build attraction towards someone based off of more than just looks. That's a massive part of what you're losing, because I think that pretty much anyone would say that love is way more than looks. That it's obviously you should be attracted to the person that you choose to spend your life with. That is obviously should be the case, but attraction can be way more than just looks alone. And I feel like if you do have an emotional connection with somebody, you'll develop feelings for them in most cases. So I think, obviously not every time. You can have you can know somebody who understands you and you get along with really well, and that never happened. But you could also, just like you're saying with those statistics, you can meet somebody, not think you're attracted to them initially, but then the more you get to know them, the more you realize, man, I really want to keep spending time with this person, and you can't imagine your life without them anymore.
Yeah, attraction is basically, right, being drawn towards someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you take something that's not romantic and just take your best friend, right, you're drawn to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I just want to be around them, because it's always a good time, right?
Yes.
And so, there's obviously more. I know when you talk about attraction, it's always, in a romantic light, but, I guess there's a phrase that I say, and it's where there is no pleasure, there is no intimacy. And obviously, there's different levels to that, because you have you've got your closest friend or your best friend, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to be closer to that person more than you're going to be than your other friends, right? Because you obviously enjoy being around them and all that, blah, blah, blah. I feel like I'm getting derailed here. Um, so I don't want to go too far off the rails here, but I was going to bring it back to Bear. So one thing, what I thought, um, or I guess I'll say this. I got this from Clavin's on the Culture, to mention them again. Once again, you should go watch that. It's really good. And they had mentioned how because he lacked confidence, right, he goes and makes a wish, right, and his dreams come true, right. But it's a fantasy. It's not real. And the more he goes into this fantasy, the worse it gets, right? It kind of destroys him. And so
Yes.
they thought that it was like an allegory for online adult content, basically, right? Like
Mhm.
OnlyFans, pornography. And, in that way, you know, those, those things, it's like they're so obsessed, right? And they kind of put on that expression in those, in those mediums. And so obviously, that's what it does is it destroys you and it destroys your life and uh, it's not good for you. It actually
Right.
destroys your soul, right?
Yep.
Destroys relationships. There's a relationship that he tries to form with someone else in the film, and that gets utterly obliterated. Uh,
Dang, that's a really, really good observation. Yeah.
it's like and to kind of put it in this way, it's like lust in a way, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I think that that's like one of the bigger themes is lust versus love,
Mhm. Definitely.
where you know the qualities for marriage, right, is love. It's a good value. It's good quality to have. You want that for a long-term marriage. But I think where a big sickness in society today is that we want lust. So how deep do I want to go into this stupid thing? So, you've got the values you need for marriage aren't lining up with the values people want in dating and attraction, right? So, one of the ways I describe it is being married is like being on the moon, okay? And married people are like, you got to grow moon food. You got to learn how to grow moon food. If you're on the moon, you want to go to the moon, you got to grow moon food. It's the only way to survive and have a long term, lasting relationship. Single people on Earth are like, oh, I already know how to make Earth food, so how hard could it be? And I need rocket fuel. I need jet fuel to get me to the moon, right?
Ah.
And so it's almost like there's this disconnect between like some of the older generation of people who, they're just like, why aren't you guys like dating or whatever? Because they don't really understand the social media dynamic. But I think a big part of it too is because we have these crazy expectations in dating relationships. You know, uh, I recently talked to somebody and how she described someone's attraction level to basically like she talks about how she's interested in celebrities. You know, so it's like, okay, let's oh man, I talked to somebody and she was a little bit bigger, and she had mentioned like, oh, I know I'm a little bit bigger, but I'm like attracted to more like athletic men. And I got so mad because I was like, I'm like, you're not really saying anything because like I'm not a supermodel. Well, no, I mean, because it's like, well, I'm not a supermodel, but I'm really attracted to Sydney Sweeney.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not a supermodel,
Yeah.
but I'm really attracted to supermodels. Wow, you're attracted
Yeah,
to
I find
attractive
attractive
people.
people attractive.
Yeah, I find attractive people attractive. Wow.
I know I'm not attractive, but I'm really attracted to attract. I'm sorry, that was mean to draw that parallel with that person you spoke with, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think that's
just, but it was just like, you know, it's this kind of delusion of like, you've got this crazy expectation, and maybe it's over romanticized, and everybody wants to have that dreamy feeling. But I'm also like, man, there's a lot of working relationships. Not suggesting we should go back in the day, but man, there were some forced marriages and stuff that worked. Okay, I'm not saying we do that. Okay, I'm not saying we do that, but I'm just saying, like,
There is something to be learned there about the learning to make a relationship work is like a process, right? There's some stick to itiveness that works in those relationships that you've seen success in, where they were kind of forced to get married, but because they were in that situation, they learned to stay married, right? And so that's a lesson that I think you could learn from those types of situations. I had somebody explain that to me about like I think it was in East Indian culture, where they still have kind of arranged marriages and their divorce rates are insanely lower than ours. And I don't necessarily know what divorce culture is like there, like what the laws are surrounding it, but they made it sound as though it were not dissimilar from our laws and like the culture around it in the U.S. But their rates are lower because the people are committed to each other and they're committed to learning how to make it work. And yeah, don't know if we have that here.
I wonder if there's not also, I mean, you would answer this better than I could. I'm just kind of speculating here. And I wonder if there's not a sense of duty and responsibility, like that you
Yeah.
have as a man or as a woman or a husband and wife. Like once you're in that role, you have the responsibility to do those things. It's your job now. And there's a
Mm.
certain honor in that. And I don't think we see that in any way. Like it's not a duty, it's not a responsibility. It's all just supposed to be flowery bed of ease and just dreamy and honeymoon phase all the time.
Yeah.
And anybody who's married will tell you, well, no, you got to grow the moon food because the rocket fuel runs out, and when you're on the moon, you need moon food.
Yeah.
A stupid analogy, but
No, that actually makes a lot of sense to me.
well, good. Something makes sense there. And I think, you know, uh, there's going into responsibility because you had mentioned earlier, like we don't have grit. This generation doesn't have grit. We don't. I kind of put it more specifically in the social skills. I'm gonna kind of go off on a tangent to go on another, whatever. We're here. So, uh, you've got the lack of social circles, and so because of social media and online, they talk about how you would get to a meeting earlier, maybe 5, 10 minutes early, and you've got nothing to do. You're just sitting there waiting. Well, then you would talk to the other people who were there, find out what was going on. It's almost like social ability was a part of entertainment, right? Where you're sitting there, you're not doing anything, so you strike up a conversation. You might as well, you're not doing anything, right? We, because we don't see, right, we have competing entertainment that's more entertaining than social interaction.
Yeah, so more stimulating at least in
More
some cases.
stimulating, more entertaining, whatever you want to categorize it as. It outcompetes just interacting with people, you know, uh, who, may not be the closest or whatever. And so you're not developing these social skills or social endurance. As
Yep.
soon as things get uncomfortable, we like completely check out. And I gotta be honest, I'm like kind of guilty of that myself. When
Yeah.
people are like awkward or like they don't pick up on social cues or whatever it is, it just becomes you're just like, all right, well, let me get my phone out and then I gotta, it's like we
Yeah.
just don't. You don't want to endure any of that. Well, I think that also leads to like cold approaches failing a lot more because cold approaches are pretty awkward. I think that leads to first dates not being successful because first dates can be really awkward. It's like
Yes.
I've heard it mentioned that like people will be like, oh well, I'm just looking for the spark. I'm looking for the spark, and I'm going on all these dates, and I'm not getting a spark. I'm not getting any chemistry, and it's like I'm going to make a football analogy, dear Lord. So in football, you'll hear about how like a quarterback and a wide receiver have chemistry, but they spend a lot of time in practice building that chemistry.
Ooh.
And so it's something that's, yeah, you can have a spark that hits right away, but it's like
Yeah.
in a in a first date scenario, it's like it's working against you, because there's so many nerves and there's so many like you say one thing that you didn't say right, and it's like, we're done. It's like
Yeah.
So there's just so many avenues here because you had mentioned like we don't have grit, and I think the social endurance is a thing that we just don't have as a society.
That is an excellent observation. And I think you are totally right. That probably is a massive component to another reason why guys don't approach. It's I will like I feel like I've asked tons of guys. I'm like, what are you even supposed to say when you go up to a girl you don't know? When you go up to like a girl that you do know and you think she's pretty, how do you even start this conversation without making them feel uncomfortable? Because you're obviously very uncomfortable. And so it's a whole conundrum in and of itself, and you both just want it to be over, like
Yeah.
in most cases. So it's tough. It's really tough. And if it doesn't go a certain way, that social endurance, it gives out and everything, and you just dwell on it. You think about that failure. And if you don't know how to process it and just say, well, hey, I'll learn, we'll get better next time, then yes, I can totally sympathize, and I see where it happens with a lot of guys where they just shut down.
Yeah. Do you think? Because we talked a lot about like the confidence in the guys. Do you think? Because this kind of comes back to Bear. Because we kind of went into the lust thing. I believe that they were both in lust here. So obviously, when he wished and she became obsessed, she was lust for him, and
Yes.
vice versa. So it led to a whole bunch of problems. But I know there's some debate on this. I was curious as to who you thought the actual villain of the story was.
Without question, I would obviously be open to discussing this. Without question, I think it was Bear. And we can talk about a few different points of why I think that, but who do you think it was?
I have the complete opposite view, where I'm like, I shouldn't
Really?
say without a question,
Mhm.
but I'm like, it's so obvious to me that I mean, it's like Nikki, but it's obviously not. It's Demon Nikki, I guess, if you
Yes,
freaky
yes. So Nikki
Nikki.
herself isn't the issue, but it is that demonic thing that caused the problem, right?
Um, okay, state your case here.
So in the beginning of the movie, right, we see
In the
Bear. He's trying to
beginning,
work. Yeah, we see him trying to work up the courage to talk to her, to tell her how he feels, and even just talking with his friend and practicing this like confession, and it's something that is so relatable to every guy. It's like, how do I even tell this person? What am I supposed to say? Everything that I'm feeling, is it just stupid? And a bunch of us want to root for Bear, and we want to see him like just tell her how he feels and just see what happens.
I
And
don't want to. No, I
whenever
didn't want to see that.
you didn't want to see that,
No,
yeah.
I'm like on the other end of the screen. I'm like, look, man, if you are here and you have to ask, it's over, dude.
Wow.
Like, I'm at the place where I'm like, it doesn't matter, dude. Okay, I know this is like a different thing, and I know I'm about to bring up someone controversial and kind of memey, and that's
Well,
clavicular.
I want to ask this question before you go off on your tangent, just so we can remember to get back to it.
Okay,
But can you blame him for not knowing that when he was there?
not. Oh no, I mean, because he's young and he
Yeah.
probably hasn't experienced that sort of a thing.
Right. Right.
But yeah, my experience is yelling at him, saying, "No, no!" It's like the Interstellar. No, no. Um, he so clavicular dude, like he asked this woman out in the most degenerate way possible. It was so degenerate and inappropriate, and she was just like, "Yeah." I was like, and that's what I was it. Was it? There's a quote here. Let's see if I can find it. Ah, yeah. because we were alluding to this earlier, but it's when women love us, they forgive us everything, even our crimes. When they do not love us, they forgive us nothing, not even our virtues. And
Yeah.
I've seen it even amongst some Christian women, and not necessarily to, to whatever clavicular was doing, not to that scale, okay.
Yeah.
But I've seen saying, well, I'm not, I'm not, I don't like a guy who does that, and then it's like, oh, well, this guy who has those things that you don't like, they just so happen to be attracted to him enough, and what do you know?
Wow, it's no longer a problem.
And I mean, it goes both ways, right? To some
Oh, for sure.
degree.
Yeah.
But my point in saying that is like, there's not anything that he could have done in that scene to ruin it if she was interested.
Yeah, if he did it the most degenerate way possible, it sounds like no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
So,
yeah, continue. You think he's the worst and or the
um,
villain? Something like
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
wasn't really
he,
listening, so.
yeah, and so we want to see him, just tell her how he feels, and because of whatever lack of confidence that he has, he makes the wish, and that causes this whole, sequence of events to transpire. We can forgive him for not knowing that the wish would actually work and cause it to work in the most horrible way imaginable.
Right.
Like, most people would be able to give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, no one would have ever thought this would happen. But the more that he sees of proof, even after he sees proof that Nikki is suffering because of the choice that he made, and that she is suffering because he is perpetuating what is happening, he does not change anything about what he does. He actually gets upset with people who try to challenge him for perpetuating it. And so I think for that reason, he is the villain. And there might be a few more points that I can bring up there, but I would like to, I would like to discuss more of your perspective.
So the reason I didn't agree with that is because, weirdly enough, because we had actually talked about that before I'd seen the movie. And so I
Yeah.
was looking for it, and I was like, I actually didn't really see that in the film. So it's kind of like, because to me, it just seemed like, because he makes this wish, it's like this, supernatural thing that never happens, right? And so
Right.
he's in doubt. He doesn't really know what's going on. I think even when it's the real Nikki, he's like trying to figure it out, and so he keeps asking, but of course she's just like, no, I am the real Nikki, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's never really, I mean, how would you even navigate that? It's like he doesn't really know that he doesn't know that it's even real until later in the film, and
Mm-hmm.
even when he, you know, the reality of it, he tries to break it, but the only way to break it is literally his own life. He has to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Spoiler alert. And so
Yeah.
he has to he has to end his own existence. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so
Or end hers. Yeah.
or end hers. Yeah. And I don't know. To me, I just seemed like everybody was just jumping on him, even though they didn't really know what was going on. Like, so
I
they
feel like
didn't know.
there's a point where it's explicitly spelled out for him, though. I feel like there are multiple points where it's explicitly spelled out for him, especially like when he makes the phone call to see if he can cancel the wish, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to talk to like the real Nikki?" And then hears her in agony and in pain. And then there are multiple moments, especially when she's sleep talking and she's like, "It's me. Please, please end my life. Please put me out of my misery. Please do something." And his response is it so horrible to be with me? Is it that bad to be in a relationship with me? He already knows that this is not her and that this is the one communication he has with the real Nikki. I think that,
Yeah, I don't know.
that,
I kind of saw that differently, but I mean, I can definitely see how you saw that. To me, I just thought like when she's saying that, he's just like in a depressed state with himself. It's like the lack of confidence thing, and he says it, but he's like half awake. He's not really sober, And it's like he doesn't, like the next day he doesn't even really believe it. He doesn't even, I don't know. To me, it didn't really seem like he knew what was going on fully. To me, at least, I thought it was really strange how people kept getting onto him about her behavior.
Mhm.
Like, hey, she's acting weird, and you're the problem. And I'm like, why would you not just talk to her and tell her to like not be weird or like what's going on? All the blame gets put on him.
That's actually pretty valid, and I think that at some point, yes, you definitely should talk to Nikki individually and be like, Nikki, we feel like you're acting weird, and we just want to make sure you're okay.
I
And
feel like
obviously, she'd probably be avoidant about that. But go ahead.
I was just saying, I feel like that's really symbolic about our culture today and how I know kind of people are gonna not like this, but I think women lack a lot of accountability today in our culture. It's obviously a general statement, so that's not every woman, okay?
Right.
But I think a good example of this, there's an actual debate on Piers Morgan, and it was between two conservatives, okay? So one of them was like, okay, men are supposed to provide and protect. So then he asked the woman, who supposedly doesn't believe in feminism and women empowerment and all this stuff. Right, that's her position, and so because he's debating on whether or not she's actually a feminist or not, and he's saying she is, even though she claims to be conservative. Okay, anyways, he's like, okay, well, what's the responsibility of women then? And she can't really answer. And Clavens on the Culture, once again, they brought up during Project Hail Mary, they mentioned like how Hollywood doesn't know how to make good women because they don't know what makes a good woman. And I see this in this film where it's like all the blame just gets put on Bear, and I'm not even suggesting that he doesn't have anything to blame, or he has he doesn't have any flaws. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But
there are two big thoughts that I want to get onto, but please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to wrap this up real quick. But the lack of accountability, because if you don't have a duty or you don't have a responsibility, you can't be held for accountable to anything. And that's why men always get the blame, is because we know what their responsibility is.
Yes, so I think that there's a lot to talk about there, and that there's some truth, but I think talking about Bear first and about the movie first, what upset the characters in the film and what I think upsets viewers of the film is that everyone outside of their relationship can tell that something is wrong with Nikki, and they are concerned for Nikki, and they are worried about just her well-being. Bear, who spends more time with her than any of these people, is pretending like nothing is wrong, and is trying to tell them that nothing is wrong. And so they're questioning, how are you not worried about her? And we are. There's something wrong, and it feels like because she's in a like turbulent emotional state, that you're taking advantage of these negative emotions to make her dependent on you. That's what they're worried about, and that's what everybody watching it kind of feels like happens a lot with guys too.
Well, okay, I would say the part of it is he does not do good with any confrontation. So that's what I saw in it. So he didn't really want to deal with his friends. So he's kind of like shirking it, like, whatever. And then even then when he talks to Nikki, who has like the craziest, cooking his cat and like doing this crazy stuff, he's like, yeah, could you please not like do that? You know what I mean? Like, she's doing obviously this really crazy thing that she shouldn't do, and he should just be like, what in the world's going on? We're done with this.
Yeah.
What is going on, getting to the bottom of it. He's just like so like not confrontational, right? And that kind of comes back to this crippling lack of confidence. And so I know like people were giving him a hard time, but I kind of saw it as like this, like he just doesn't want to deal with it, and he kind of wants to deal with Nikki in his own way and kind of just talk her out of it. He thinks he can like somehow salvage this thing of,
Mhm.
okay, I want her to be with me and she wants to be with me. She's acting weird, but I can kind of wrangle this in, and
Mm.
kind of tame this thing. And so he tries to play it nice because that he doesn't want any kind of confrontation. So he's like, hey, could you just kind of okay, and that's about as much as he gets.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I saw it is, and I know that that's not like necessarily making him okay, but I mean,
Mhm.
he also wasn't cooking cats. He also didn't wet himself by standing still. He didn't duct tape the door. He didn't murder
Yeah.
someone. He didn't murder his friend.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, it's kind of like pretty obvious who the issue is.
Yes. Well, that you make a good point in a lot of that, but he still doesn't ask anyone else's opinion, ask for anyone else's help, and when he and I know you're not convinced that he was ever fully aware that there was something wrong, but maybe that is where other people align more on a different side of it, is that they who believe he did understand that there was something wrong with her still never chose to confront that problem because he was just like, I'm in a relationship with this hot girl, I'm gonna keep it going.
Um, my rebuttal to part of him deflecting some of the other guys is
Mm-hmm.
once again, I'm not even saying that he should just have done what he did. That's not even necessarily what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
Um, but one of them was having had a relationship with her beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And so that didn't put him in a good place to trust him either. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit more going on. It's not necessarily cut and dry. And so he's young. He's trying to work this thing out, and it's like, how does he know that this is going to go off the rails? Like he thought, like, he's not going to know that. And I don't know. I felt like he's mainly ignorant in all this, and it didn't seem malicious to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he may have been he may have been unaware that he was taking advantage of her,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if he was
Yeah.
aware of like, oh man, you know what? I'm actually taking advantage of this situation, and I'm just using her, you know. But even in that scenario, what's he really supposed to do? What are you going to do with Demon Nikki? Right? She murders somebody. I mean, what are you? I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what he does. Even if he does
Mm-hmm.
do the right thing, like you're not getting around her.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we to go to the other thought that I wanted to talk about was talking about how Hollywood, what you were saying about Project Hail Mary, right? So they did a really good job of like writing out what was his name, Dr. Joseph or something in Project Hail Mary. What's the main guy's name?
Ryland Grace.
Not even close. Well, anyways, hey, I haven't seen it 5 times like some people in this podcast. So, anyways, he they obviously wrote like a really good male protagonist, and they knew how to write through everything. And what you're saying and what they were saying on the culture, Clavens over
Clavens on the
culture,
culture.
Clavens on the culture. Um, that they don't know how to write great women characters because they don't know what their like responsibilities and what makes for a good woman, right?
Right.
And that, I think, unfortunately, I think I definitely agree because, and I see where the problem is because there have been so many things that have been considered a woman's responsibility for literally probably since the dawn of man, and they have felt like they had no other choice, and so it became this cultural movement of like, hey, we want to have the freedom to choose whether we even want those responsibilities, and now we it is really taboo to write characters who take on responsibility of any kind because it feels like we are trying to say women should do this, and that's what makes for a good woman. And if what the culture is saying right now is you're not allowed to tell women what makes for a good woman. And
That's exactly it, man.
a big part of that, which is true. You should never, go up to somebody and tell them what they're supposed to do. But
What are you talking about?
I can't go up to someone.
What are you talking about?
Well,
Are there
hold
not
on,
things you should do and not the
that.
things you shouldn't do?
I can't control someone else's choices, but what I can do is I can say, you're making those choices. I don't think I want any part of that, and I think I would rather be with someone who makes the opposite choice. And so I feel as though with the process of elimination, we could probably still deduce good values that we can assign to good female characters. And there shouldn't be this stigma around, trying to redefine what is good. No, we know what good values are. We know what makes for good people that we want to spend more time with. I feel like humanity has always known that. And even if you don't want to go down the whole route of whether women should, be subservient or have children or all this stuff, that's a whole different arena. At least make them understanding. At least make them compassionate. At least make them, just regular old characteristics that make for good humans. I feel like it is rare that we see that in female characters now, which is sad. We see a lot of
masculine female
gruff. I don't have to, care about anyone else. I'm caring about me. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have never wanted to spend time with someone who was like that in my life. Why are we trying to glorify this? This is a horrible idea. So, just to go off on what you were saying on that side, I know I waffled around on some of my verbiage and trying to get to the root of that thought, but please, what do you think about that?
I think we should tell people what to do because they're kind of just being contentious here. But I do think it's funny that you go. I saw a debate where a guy was like, "Don't tell people what to do, but I'm telling you to not tell people what to do." It was really silly. So it's like, I mean, government tells you what to do and what not to do. Period. So.
Well, yeah, I'm not
that's
saying
different.
laws.
I know that's a different discussion, but anyways, that's what it made me remind me of. Okay, I don't know where we go from here, but I definitely agreed with we need good women in movies. What does, because this is a Christian perspective, what does the church need to do?
I think it's funny because one of my first thoughts was I think the church should keep doing what it's always been doing, and in a way I absolutely believe that. I don't think that the gospel should change. I don't think that our values should change ever as the church in terms of what we hold as a good Christian standard and our behavior and how we treat other people, how we would want to be treated, and we treat them even better in a lot of cases. I think that we should teach people to love one another. That's literally what it comes down to. And I see a lot of men how to love someone else unconditionally, and from Hollywood and culture, and how they're supposed to completely be subservient no matter what. And a lot of women, you don't have to care about men for any reason ever.
Yeah.
And that is...
Which is, there's a... Sabrina Carpenter made a music video where she was basically shooting and just eliminating all these men just casually. I don't know if you saw that or not, but if you look at that, that's got millions of views.
Yeah.
Right? Just discarding men yeah, you can just unalive them, discard them. They're, disposable. And which is really interesting because we talk about toxic masculinity, and yet you have that over the main
Yes.
airwaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I will say.
you don't even hear that in like, what they I don't even want to get into it, like the manosphere stuff or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I
That.
don't they talk about some degenerate things too, but they don't get millions of views like she does.
No.
It's like
And
clearly not in the zeitgeist.
luckily, I work for a top 40 radio station. I listen to it every day. Whatever song that is, uh, either we don't play it on our station or the literal song itself isn't about that. Thank God. So maybe it doesn't go out over the radio airwaves. But if you're spending your time watching the music videos and stuff, and a lot of people do that, like YouTube is how you access is like that's the most popular thing on the internet. Then yeah, you're obviously going to see that everywhere.
But once again, that's something that would also feed into the lack of confidence of men. Is if you see a constant image of like that. Oh, I'm just disposable. I don't mean anything. I'm just a beast of burden, tax, uh, pack mule.
Yeah.
So I think one main thing that the church needs to do, I think the church kind of does already those things, or at least, a big part of the church is telling people how to treat each other, treat everyone else how you'd want to be treated. Most churches, at least. I think the church I think one of the big things is making sure that there's creating long-term communities inside the church for those people to get together and create relationships. And I specifically say long-term because, once again, we don't have those social endurance. And so this one more thing that stacks on itself is like, oh man, we built this community. And then I went on a date with someone in that social circle. And then we broke up and I no longer wanted to be in that social circle. And so I left that church and went to a different one. Right? And so it's like you don't have that endurance to be like, well, we disagree, we're going to be friends or whatever, and still be able to toughen it out. So I would say that that's one. I think one thing is we need to talk about to women, and that is the reality of the birthing crisis and putting off childbearing. So I watched this documentary, and it's pretty neutral. It was talking about basically the correlation in all the birth rate declines in all the industrial places of the world. And the one thing is women putting off childbearing, waiting until they're older. And some of that is just you didn't find the right person. And sometimes it's they get married and they wait. And so when they wait, they have fewer children. And it's just a biological reality of, and a lot of them were talking about education and focusing on building their careers and the economy, and there's all kinds of factors, but trying to convince them like, hey, this isn't something that you should like put off. You want to you want to create a family as soon as possible. I mean, I don't know if I would say as soon as possible. Maybe I would say it differently.
Maybe there's some level of truth to that, but on a large scale, I think I would disagree. I think that's going for the fruit instead of going for the root of the issue. Because if you're able to encourage women not to see men as just a whole problem, like as men are the root of all of your issues, you don't need to care about men. Men are supposed to treat you like this and this and this and this, and if they don't, then you don't ever even look at them twice.
Yeah.
Obviously you should have expectations for how someone should treat you, but I think we've reached a very point of diminishing returns there, where there's entitlement instead of expectations, right?
Right. I mean, that kind of goes back to the accountability responsibility thing. It's like you mentioned, like, oh, the man's supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, what do you do?
Yes. And I think there's one quote that I love, and this is what I think is closer to getting to the root of the issue, which is men are taught how to treat women and not what to expect from women, and women are taught what to expect from men and not how to treat men. I think that both should obviously be taught both. And there's a some level of cultural shift that needs to take place there. Because A, I to give women credit, if we are teaching men how to treat women, we're really not doing a great job most of the time. People outside of the church, and even a lot of people inside the church, really are after one thing most of the time. Like, I think you and
Yeah.
I have both met people, and maybe I've even been that person where I'm like, I want this person for their looks, and even if I don't know it in the front of my mind where I'm talking to them, or maybe I do, that I'm after one thing. But so there obviously needs to be
Well,
a shift in
well,
how
look,
we
you're not a
communicate both.
supermodel, but you want supermodels.
Yeah. Yes. So I think that obviously there needs to be better communication of what we expect from each other and how we treat each other. There needs to be no entitlement from one person, but there do need to be expectations.
Right. Both people have a responsibility. It's not just all in one.
Responsibility is a great word. Yes.
Yep. Good stuff, Blake. Good stuff. To wrap this up real quick, we've gone for an hour.
Oh, I thought it was like 2 hours already.
Wow, you thought it was that long, huh?
I felt like this call would never end.
I could feel every
Andrew.
minute go by.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say the Odyssey is coming up. Are you gonna go see the Odyssey?
No.
He says it with a smile. No.
No.
Why
Yeah.
are you not gonna go see that?
I wish I wanted to see the Odyssey. I wish I wanted to see it. The only reason I would consider seeing this movie is because Christopher Nolan is directing it. That's the only reason. And even that, I feel like, doesn't. I feel like Christopher Nolan has flaws in what he does and what he creates that I'm like, well, I'm not going to like those flaws in this movie. People will point out, problems with his dialogue or with, some levels of his directing style. And I'm like, I'm just not interested in the history. I think that there have been choices made with like the dialogue. There's so much. What about you?
Man, I was so interested when I heard this project was going, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Because the Odyssey, like I know its history, it's like the origin of story. Like I know, like
Yes.
him taking this on, like I knew it was like this is like a statement, and I was like, this is like such a cool thing. And then I saw the trailer, and they were using modern dialogue or whatever,
Yes.
and I had a huge issue with the trailer. Like they were saying, "Let's go" and "Daddy" and "Dad," and I was like, "Wow, okay." That sucked all the oxygen out of my excitement. I
Yeah.
was pretty much done with it from there. And somebody was like, "Well, you need to see it to create an opinion on it or whatever." And I'm like,
And that's
"Okay."
fair, I guess.
Well, I
I can still have problems with how it is marketed and those problems that they're presenting to people they're trying to convince to see it.
well, the way I would say it is like it was more specific. Like I said I was going to wait for reviews, and he told me to make my own opinion. And I was like, well, if I looked at a commercial of a product and I said that product looks bad for XYZ reasons, and then customer reviews came out and said it's bad for XYZ reasons, why would I go spend money on it to put my own opinion on it when I'm already right?
Yep. Yep.
Anyways,
That is so true.
so I kind of expressed those concerns of like the modern. Like, I'll say this in Doom Part 2, it bothers me. They're specific, they're just one liners too. It's where Paul says, "Hey, Stilgar." He says, "Hey,"
Mm-hmm.
and then there's another moment where he says, "What are you guys talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
And those two moments always like, ugh, like I'm always like, oh, just if we could have cut those like guys and "hey" out. Like,
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, if you just take out those two
no,
words, then
that's just two words.
yes.
Like the whole film is this. Like I don't demand perfection, but man, there's some mistakes you can't make, and I feel like the dialogue throughout the entire. I mean, it's water and oil. I say
Yeah.
this about Hamilton. Have you ever seen Hamilton, the musical?
No.
Oh my goodness!
I've tried like 3 separate times. And I can't do
Dude,
that.
I can't do. The Hamilton is so bad, not because like they don't perform well or it's not like well made. It's
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's water and oil. Got this time period piece, and then they're using music that wasn't created in that time period, right? You got rap, like, you know, they used like more elegant writing, cursive, and the way they spoke. They were very much like pursuing to be noble, and then you're using like a very layman language and rap, and musicals are whimsical and full of character expression, and like rap is like it's expressive but like in one dimension. It, even in the musical where they go to slower parts and more emotional parts, they don't use rap. Like my favorite
Yeah.
my favorite part in the musical is King George. It's this whimsical and it's like just full of vibrant character and it's hilarious. And you just see the whole character in the song and on display. Everything else is like it feels so one note, and it's water and oil is what I described Hamilton, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I don't want to go see the Odyssey, which I'll probably still see, but I'm not going to go see it in the IMAX. I'll probably go spend $5 on a whatever showing to go see it.
I'm not. I might go see it too, and I'm not going to see it opening weekend. And when I go to see it, I'm not going to be excited. I'm going to see it because I feel like I have to see it. That's what
And
it's going to be.
that's probably why the movie's actually going to perform really well, is because people are
Mm-hmm.
going to feel like they have to see it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's tons of layers of issues that I have with the movie, is just on such a surface level, just like the costumes.
Oh my
And
goodness, dude. The costumes look so bad. Did you see any of the leaked stuff?
the leet.
Leaked? Yeah, so somebody like was posting clips of the movie on X, and I was like, "Wow, this is bad." So I got to hear the dialogue, and I was like, "No." Like I'm making it sound like it was like the worst thing, but like it really doesn't put you in the time period. Like it really takes you out. And then
That I feel like sucks.
there's this scene of Elliot Page running in full armor, and I was like, "You're joking. You're joking me." It did not look great. Now, maybe it was just because it was a rinky-dink camera in the theater. Maybe it was just really bad
Yeah.
quality. But man, I don't know about this, man.
Mm-mm. I
Film
I
Threat
don't think it'll work.
Film Threat didn't have very good reviews of it when they saw it.
No.
Like the
And
score.
I was relieved to hear they said that like all the controversial casting choices, a lot of them don't matter because of screen time. A lot of those controversial casting choices people are upset about, really aren't going to matter so much. But one of the controversial casting choices to me is Matt Damon. I don't care, and I don't like Matt Damon anyway. He's the main character.
Why don't you like Matt Damon?
He's so boring. He's so boring.
I feel like
I'm sorry. I'm
I feel like
getting really
I feel like
passionate about
he's
it.
a talented actor. It just I don't know. It's like he didn't, like, from what I've heard and from what little I've seen, which would corroborate their reviews of it. I just feel like he didn't, like, I don't know, have much to work with, and maybe he just plays it wrong or miscast. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I know he's talented though. Like he's like a really good actor, and I don't know, man. Like
The only thing I have ever liked Matt Damon in was Good Will Hunting. That's like his first thing. I never have been interested in like he's just the most boring person and actor. I don't understand.
I liked him in
know.
Interstellar, Doctor Mann.
No, I didn't like him in Interstellar.
I mean, he was
He's
a villain.
boring.
You're not supposed to like him.
Somebody told me because I was explaining this to them, and they said you didn't like him in Interstellar, and I was like, you know what? I forgot he was in Interstellar. That's how boring he is.
I will say,
I'm not even joking, and that's a 10 out of 10 movie for me.
It is a 10 out of 10 movie for me, but I will say I often don't think about those scenes when I think about Interstellar. I think about like the black hole, I think about the ending. I usually don't think about that part.
Yeah, I think about Michael Caine before I think about Matt Damon. Every time when I think about that movie.
Don't go into that light.
And you know what's funny? I think more about Timothy Chalamet in that movie than I think about Matt Damon in that movie. Isn't that crazy? And I probably wouldn't have, before I realized that was Timothy Chalamet, but
I think
just throwing that out there.
Okay. Any closing thoughts? Maybe we need to bring this back to Obsession. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for hearing me out on all this, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. I'm really glad we had this conversation. I think we covered a lot of good ground, and I hope, my points made sense.
I hope mine did too. I feel like I ran a lot. Hopefully get better at these podcasts or whatever, but I think Obsession is really culturally important. I'm like shocked at how much money it made and how many people went to go see it, but I think it's because it popular art.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that was. Could you stop?
I'm cracking my knuckles individually. Yeah.
Popular art has already happened in the hearts and minds of people, and so I think when people saw this trailer, they were like, I mean, I felt that way too. Immediately when I saw it, I was like, I wanted to see this movie because I know it's gonna what it says culturally. I didn't know it was going to be such a I thought it was just going to be another horror movie. I didn't think it was going to be a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
But I think before we were recording, I think you were talking about beautiful people before. I know I don't want to get on it more, but we're just here having these conversations. But the Beauty, the show with Ashton Kutcher, because they make a line about how beautiful people feel like they can get away with anything, and they can treat people a certain way. It's like they have life on easy mode, basically. And so you're seeing all these kind of like little cultural things, like Clayface kind of fits in that category a little bit that's coming out.
Yeah.
Because I saw The Beauty and I thought about Clavicular and all the looks maxing thing going on, where in The Beauty you get this injection and it makes you beautiful or whatever. And then in Clayface, he's this really handsome guy, and then he gets scars on his face, and there's a lot of this body horror, because that's what The Beauty is. Because some people who take it, it doesn't work out for them, and they turn into this abomination. Anyway, I'm just rambling on about The Beauty. Anyways, so there's a lot going on in the culture about these things, and so I'm interested in seeing those.
Yes. Yeah, I would love to do more and talk about this more if it relates to another piece of media that we decide to watch, because I think there's a ton to talk about on this topic. But hey, this next weekend is going to be the Avatar movie. I finally get to see it. I would love to talk to you about it.
We need to put that one on the podcast. Yeah,
that'd be great. And I have early screening tickets to see Spider-Man that next Wednesday.
Oh, early screening! Look out.
Yes, so we should totally keep talking, dude. This is fun.
It's okay, I guess.
Yes. She better.
JK. Well, appreciate if anybody listened to this all the way to the end. Congratulations, because
Right.
it's a marathon for sure.
How long was your other podcast?
It was like right under an hour. So.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of ground.
Yeah, you watched it, right? You watched it, right?
I didn't see the background, so I didn't think I should watch it.
Oh yeah. Have you still not seen it? I tried to send you some of the leaked stuff or whatever. What you do is you watch it, and then once you've watched it, you go buy a ticket. That's what you got to do.
And then you don't go into the theater, so you don't have to spend your time in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, you still paid to see it. It's don't do that, by the way. Don't watch those links. Don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, Andrew didn't actually send me any links either. He was just saying that.
Yeah,
Yeah, what were we talking about before that?
All right, well, anyways, appreciate everybody for tuning in. The 5 of you tuned into this podcast and watched it. Appreciate you. And hope to see you guys next time. Bless my bark.